Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the next to our next installment of the Wednesday webinars. This Wednesday webinar will be focused around Sharperlight and all of the functionality in Sharperlight. I'm Dermot, and I'm working in the marketing department at the moment. And presenting Sharperlight to everyone today will be Sehem Ali, our Business One consultant. And if you have any questions during the webinar, simply put them in or simply ask them on the or through the GoToWebinar, and we'll answer them at the end of it. Thanks, and I'll let Sahem start with the webinar.
Perfect. Thanks very much for that anyway. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the Sharperlight webinar. And what we'll basically touch on is just a brief overview of what Sharperlight does in terms of features you'd expect from the solution. I know there's a couple of attendees who already have Sharperlight. It will be more of a basic sense, but feel free if you have a specific question, if you'd like to send the questions to us, we can send them over and then we'll try our best to actually answer your question. So I'll just briefly kick on with today's session. So just go to my next slide over here just to see what sort of what Sharperlight is and what it's gonna basically do for you with regards to basically analyzing your data from your respective systems. So basically, in a nutshell, what Sharperlight is sort of termed as a self-service business intelligence tool. And what is sort of meant by that is that most tools nowadays, if we want to extract that information, be it from SAP or from an Excel or from whatnot, we need the technical skills where someone who needs to know the table structures and whatnot to be able to retrieve that data. But what Sharperlight tends to do is to remove that need to have like let's say I need someone who's proficient in SQL or for those who are HANA based, someone who knows the tables, who knows the structure to actually create a query on my end and sort of create the reports which you can use in the organization. So what it tends to do is sort of makes it possible for the normal end user to sort of go in, extract the data straight from SAP or from any other systems anyway, and be able to sort of to analyze that information. So with regards to just a quick view of basically what's involved and just a brief features of what Sharperlight has, I mentioned the self-service reporting bit. So we'll actually get to that once you actually see the product in action. And the other bit, which actually comes inbuilt within Sharperlight, is the Excel add-in with the drill down option. So rather than extracting a particular data and sort of, okay, if I want more information on a particular value or just to analyze my data further, I don't need to sort of build another report to sort of get it in detailed option. What we can tell Sharperlight is we can build a variety of suites of reports, be it summary and detail, and we can build in the drill down on top of it. And I'll actually show you that particular bit once you actually start on that. What we can also do is we can also the same reports sort of built within Excel. We can choose to publish them on the web, so we can create if someone wants the dashboards and KPIs, so we can actually build those dashboards and KPIs and actually from your Excel reports based on that. We also have a write back function, even though it's limited in that it only updates a few tables within SAP Business One. But what it can do is it can sort of upload your budgets straight into SAP Business One from within your Excel. You can actually even input, for example, if it's your item master data, your business partners and price list, and your AR invoices and the invoices. So so that's the write back functionality on there. And the last bit, and basically we also have a scheduler option where in a scenario where, for example, if you have more than five Sharperlight user license, you actually get the scheduler bit for free, where you can actually automate sending of the reports. You can sort of send, if it's you want to send them in a daily, if it's daily, if it's weekly, you want to send them automatically as PDF, as Excel to basically to relative members within organization. You can actually use the scheduler bit to actually someone can within the organization can build the report, and you can just let the scheduler option actually go ahead and work if it's and the sort of auto send those reports to the key individuals required. So that's basically what's involved in Sharperlight in a nutshell. We won't be able to cover the whole lot because it's a full it's because there's a number of modules in that, but we'll touch on the key areas, and what most of our clients love is the Excel bit, and then I'll touch a bit on the publisher bit. And feel free, if you have questions, you can put them in the questions area, and I'll get to them after the end of this session. So that's what I'll do is I'll just open up my Excel workbook, and just a key thing on this is that the Sharperlight add-in actually works within your Excel, so it should work with all the most versions of Excel, especially since I think it's from 2007 onwards. So you should be able to. So what it comes as, it actually comes as a Sharperlight add-in. As you can see there on the very end, I can see my Sharperlight Excel add-in. And the good thing about this is that you don't need to have a Sharperlight, for those who are SAP, you don't need to have a SAP license to be able to access. Sharperlight will work independent of SAP. So I can sort of, if someone doesn't have access to SAP, you can give them access if it's to the Excel version of Sharperlight, or even on the web view version of Sharperlight, which we'll touch a bit on that anyway. So just a quick overview of how Sharperlight works, what it can do for you with regards to extracting real-time data straight from SAP Business One. And it's not only an SAP Business One system. You can actually, with the proper setup and the connection, you can even connect to your third-party system. So if you have a separate SQL database which holds, let's say, your data warehousing information, you have basically holding different types of information, and you'd like Sharperlight to basically go ahead and look at that information and look at SAP Business One and look at your, for example, if you have a specific Excel workbook which stores the data, Sharperlight can go and sort of consolidate all this data and give you, if you wanted, a consolidation sort of reporting in that. So I'll just click on, as I mentioned there, I'll see the Sharperlight Excel added in on the far right. So this just shows me, okay, Sharperlight is installed and it works with the normal Excel. So what I'll do is just for this particular instance, I'll show you two versions within the Excel. I'll touch a bit on the table, and I'll also work on the value. So there's actually a few differences on this. So what the table will does in a nutshell is that it can give you data in like a raw table format. So you can easily extract that data in a quick and easy way, sort of in a table structure, where you can even build your pivot table based on this. So I'm actually starting my starting from my cell D5. I'm leaving a bit of space on the top so that we can add in filters and then parameters, and you'll basically see that as I'm proceeding with that. So what I'll do is I'm starting from D5 within my Excel workbook, and I'm clicking on my table icon in Sharperlight. So what that will do automatically in the back end is that it will try to look for credentials for my particular login, and then as you can see there, it actually logged me in automatically, or you can even use the SAP way where you can enter a username and then the password. So what pops up after I've clicked on that, there's this interface called the Query Builder. And this query builder is quite an it's actually the interface which is actually used in basically all the reporting in Sharperlight. So regardless of the type of client you are, if you are SQL based or if you're actually HANA based, the interface is exactly the same. So, but in the back end where we've set up your connection based on your system. If you're SQL, if your SAP is SQL based, if your SAP is HANA based, in the back end we do the connection, but the interface is exactly the same. So it actually makes it easy for you. Let's say if now you're actually SQL based and you want to move to HANA in the future, Sharperlight can, because it's the same data model structure, you can actually move your reports along with the you can move your reports from SQL into HANA, rather than how if I was to build it in SAP, I basically need to convert all my SQL syntax into my HANA syntax. So Sharperlight actually saves time in that anyway. So I have this interface called the query builder, and it actually consists of 3 parts. So I have the filters part, I have the selection, and I have the outputs part. So what I'll do is I'll just run a quick interface on and just select a few bits of data from my sales tables. So with regards to sort of querying the data from my system, it can be an SAP Business One, it can be other systems. So on the mode, I'll click on my mode button there, and I basically have a number of options where I can choose to sort of retrieve a summary-based report, which will actually aggregate all the values and summarize it based on that. Or I can even go as detailed as possible. So I can go with a detailed report, and it will actually show me all the transactions. So I can choose to build the reports in a number of ways. And we also have an aggregation bit, which I'll show you when you actually touch on the value-based reporting, where it can actually return one cell value. So what I'll do is, in this instance, I'll just click on my summary report. I'll click on OK. And in this I mentioned earlier on, we have the option where, in our case anyway, our system is SAP Business One, but Sharperlight is not only meant for SAP Business One. And what I mean by that is, I can use the native system one, which comes with Sharperlight, where if I wanted to analyze a number of Excel sheets, for example, I can tell Sharperlight to go in there. I want to, for example, look at CSV files or a particular Excel workbook, or let's say I even, for example, want to go to the internet and get the current, if it's stock prices or the current exchange rates. I can tell Sharperlight to pull that information with regards to the standard system way. But anyway, with regards to, based on our session today, I'll focus mostly on SAP Business One. And we also have an option for materialized database, where if you have a custom tables, for example, now with the new version of Sharperlight, we have for all those who are using Power BI, we can create your Power BI data sets within Sharperlight, which allows you to sort of have that easy link and sort of use the additional functions within Power BI, but using the powers of Sharperlight in the back end. In our instance, I'll stick with SAP Business One. I'll click on that. And what I basically, so far, I've just been clicking on my drop downs, and I have the option there. So you can see my next option is basically select the company I want to extract data from. So one thing about Sharperlight is that I don't need to write separate queries. If for example, we have, if you're SAP database, if you're multi-company where you might have a UK database, you might have an Irish database, or you might have different SAP databases. Sharperlight allows you to sort of read across all this database, and you can create a report based on a single company, or if you're using branches in SAP Business One, or you just want to consolidate all that data. So if I wanted to select, for example, across all my demo companies, I can hit on Control on my keyboard and select my data based on all the companies. Or if I only wanted one company, in my case, I'll use UK because that has most of my test data. So basically, you get the option. So Sharperlight, in that sense, is multi-data source and also multi-company. So allows you to sort of do, for all those who are in finance, who want, for example, you want to create your consolidated, if it's your balance sheets and your P&L. So and that's what most of our clients use the company consolidation for. So basically, in our instance, I'll just click on my UK company. I'll click on that, and once I've actually selected that, I get an option to select, okay, where do I actually want to extract that data from SAP? For all those who are using SAP, I'm sure you can just, if you look at this particular structure, you can see it actually resembles your SAP main new structure. So what this allows you to do is that I can actually go and extract data from any table within SAP Business One. So for example, if I wanted to go to my administration table and, for example, get my exchange rates, I can easily go in there, select my exchange rates table, and then I can see all the relevant selection just for that particular table. So Sharperlight has actually made it quite easy in that, based on every, for example, if I go to my sales table, if I selected my sales invoice, it has already made available all the necessary fields. So what you'll be doing as the end user is just a matter of drag and drop. So as you can see there, I can sort of allow Sharperlight to do any range of reports within SAP Business One. I can go and do my financial reports. I can go straight to my GL transaction. I can do my comparison with my budget, cost centers are supported. If you're maintaining fixed assets in the system, you can easily get that information straight from Sharperlight. And it's just a matter of selecting that particular table, and Sharperlight will basically avail all the necessary fields. So anyway, and one important thing is that for all those users who have, for example, you have your custom user-defined fields in SAP Business One, or you have your user-defined tables, Sharperlight will pick them up automatically when you select a particular table. For example, if I selected my sales table and we have a header UDF on our screen, Sharperlight will automatically pick that. So for this purpose, I'll select my sales table, and I can select my, for example, I can select my sales AR table there. So I can select my sales AR. So once I select that that particular table, I basically get a number of filters there. So you can see as I have my document code, my document entry. So what I can choose to do is that I can, if I double click on this particular cell, I can say, okay, let's say I only want a combination. I only want to look at my sales orders, and just by double clicking on that, I can select from the selection on my left hand side here. I can select what fields I want, and I can easily create a report based on that. So in this instance, I'll select my sales orders, and what I can do is that I have a number of selection fields there. And I initially mentioned, if you have your user-defined fields, you'll see them automatically in Sharperlight. And what Sharperlight does, it actually creates a folder for you automatically, user-defined fields. And if I click on that, I'll see all my user-defined fields. If they are header fields, you'll be able to see them. If they are line UDS, you'll also be able to see them. So it allows you to analyze even with your custom fields. So what I'll quickly do is I'll just create a summary report, maybe sales based on my sales order based on a customer summary, just a quick one. So what I'll do is I'll drag my customer code. So I can select my customer. So if I want to bring it as my output, I can easily drag it to my output fields, or I can easily right click and select I want this as my output there. So it can easily come into my output section. So what I can even do, one thing which Sharperlight does quite smartly is that within every field, if there's a link to another table, it has that link automatically ready for you. If I, for example, give you an example with regards to the customer code, it automatically has a business partner folder which automatically has the link to your OCRD table within SAP. So it allows you, even though yes, I'm looking at sales, but I can easily get all the information from my business master data screen. If I have a UDF within there, I can easily extract that data because that link is already there. So I can easily expand that, and I can, for example, let's say I want the name from there. I can easily grab the customer name from there, and let's say I want the group category for that particular customer, and I can drag the group name from there. As you can see so far, I'm just dragging and dropping and selecting the field based on that. So what I can do is I can even, for example, if I'm looking for a particular field, but I don't know where it is within the structure, Sharperlight makes it easier for you, especially if you're quite new to this. There's a find icon on top. So if I click on that, and for example, I want to look at my line total, which I know is my sales total without my VAT. So I can easily select my line total there. And if I double click on it, it puts in there. If I wanted, for example, to look for my gross profit, I can easily search for that, and I can drag my gross profit there. So you can easily see I can drag and drop the fields I want. And of course, I have the option if I wanted to change the description, I can easily right click on that, change my description, and maybe call it name, and do that. I can come in here and do the same thing, change description, and I can call it maybe my customer group. So it's quite flexible in how we get. So once I have all my available output fields there, I can hit on preview just to see how my data would look like. And I can easily see now my sales based on my sales order for that particular customer, and that's my range based on that. So what I can even do, I can come in here, change this to my sales total. So if I hit on preview, I can easily see my data based on that. And in this particular instance, it has actually showed all my sales data from basically from point in time. But what we can do is we can even restrict that data further. So when I hit on preview here, just to show you what happens in the back end, Sharperlight in the back end actually creates the query in the back end. So if I click on my information tab there and click on my SQL statement, I will actually get the query behind that particular source. So what actually click on that? So if I click on this, I can actually have, this is what Sharperlight did in the back end to actually come and create that particular report. So and what I can do is as the end user, I can even choose to copy this, and I can actually save this in my query manager if I wanted. If I'm not that proficient in my SQL queries, I can actually do it within Sharperlight and save it within my query manager. So within SAP, I can go straight to my tools, my query generator over there. I'll say I just want it to blank. And since I've copied that, I can actually paste that in from there. And if I hit on execute, and I can actually take that data from Sharperlight and put it here. So I can even use Sharperlight as the start of sort of building their reports, and sort of, if I wanted to make it available to the whole SAP users, I can actually do that and copy that across. So back in this, back to this particular Sharperlight. So once I've actually here's it on preview. If I'm quite okay with it, I'll just click on OK. It's basically telling me to give it a name. I click on OK. It's fine by that. But what we can also do is I'll just click on that, and I can choose to format this. Let me just format my cell since it's just a normal Excel, 1000 separator. What I'll do is just expand that. It's a normal Excel, and what I can do as the end user, that I can actually add filters within the underlying Excel sheet, so that, and then I can tell Sharperlight to sort of go ahead and look at that filters and sort of refresh based on that. So what I'll do is I'll actually type in a few text from date to my to date, and let's say, because I'm working with test data, so I know most of my data is in 2006. So from 01/01/2006 to maybe 31st of January 2006. So in this particular instance, what I did is I just put in a normal text there, which is my date filters. But what I can tell Sharper is that now within the query, rather than showing me the whole data set, what I want to do is I want to filter based on my date. So I can search for my date field, and I have my document date, which in this case is my posting date. And I don't want to drag it as an output, but I actually want to use it as a filter. So I can drag this above as a filter on top, and that comes in there. And what I can tell the system is, of course, I can come in here and sort of hard code the values there, but I want to make it more flexible, so that when someone changes the date within my Excel file, it will refresh the whole Sharperlight table. So in this particular instance, what I'll do is I'll ensure my cursor is there and it's in blue, and I'll double click on the first cell, which is my B2. So that highlights it there and puts in a B2 cell reference, as you can see. And I'll do the same from my 2 range, and I'll select and I'll double click on B3. And what that does on the back end is that, as you can see, it puts in B2 and B3. So it automatically reads the value from my cell range B2 and B3 on that Excel worksheet. So it makes it easier. So if I click on OK now, so what Sharperlight will do, as you can see, that data now is quite restricted in terms of the values. So if I'm the end user, what I can do is I can actually click on this, and then I can see my date filters, for example, or I can easily straight away just come in here, and if I wanted, I can change the date, for example, to 2009, for example. And as I'm building that, I can see my data will change. If I come maybe to the end of this year, to 2020, so as I'm playing with my data, I can see my sort of my data set is refreshing, and then I'm having and basically an increase in the value. And of course, I can come in here and use my 2020. I won't have much data, but you basically get the idea. As I'm refreshing that particular data, it will refresh my actual SAP data set. And what we can do, we can even take it a step further. I mentioned, yes, we can look at the drill down for example. So if I go back to 2006, so what I can do is, we might have a particular value within here, and let's say we want to know, okay, what makes up that particular value. So within Sharperlight, what you can do is you can actually drill that information and create your saved, for example, your saved drill throughs, and easily with just a one mouse click, you can sort of filter the data and get the underlying information however you want that information. So I'll just do a quick way of creating a drill down. So I'm on my customer microchips there, and as you can see, my sale is just over 3 million there. But if I wanted to see, okay, basically what are the items sold which sort of makes this particular value, I can easily go straight into my drill down there, and I can even take it a step further if I want it more detailed or a summary based on that. So I can go as detailed as possible, or I can even do a summary on top of a summary. So in this case, I'll just click on summary, and let's I just want to know a summary based on the items sold. So I'll easily come in there and select my item code. So what I come in here, I'll select my item. I can select, okay, what's my description, and maybe what's the quantity sold, for example, for that particular range. So if I click on OK, just from a quick view, I can easily see my total sales is 3.7 million, and these are the items which make that up, and that's my relevant. Okay, this was my sales, and that's my quantity, and so on. So you can easily see, you can sort of build all this necessary drill down, and you can sort of build different ways of analyzing information if you want it based on date, so you can make it as flexible as possible. So and then one thing which also Sharperlight does quite well is that you can even do your analysis quite well if you're doing, for example, your yearly analysis. You want to say, okay, what's my trend of how I'm selling with the customer over time, if it's across quarters, across years, across weeks. So what I'll just do is I'll just show you a brief quick info way of how to do that. So I'll remove my gross profit, and let's say I just want to analyze my trend based on my sales. So what I'll do is I'll come in here, for example, and say, okay, I want to analyze based on my yearly trends, or I can even do it based on monthly trends if need be. But in this case, since I'm working with test data, I'll just stick with there. So with regards to my date filter, I'll just click on that, and I'll just mention that I just want to do it based on years. But you can, Sharperlight has that flexibility where you can analyze based on quarters, months, and a number of weeks. If it's with regards to the weeks, if it's your first Sunday, or if you're the ISO week type. So in this instance, I'll just click based on year, and what I'll do is I'll just change this from 2006. Let me just format this and remove just as general 2006 to 2020. I'll do the same. I'll format this as a general, also perfect. So just need to check if it's working. Perfect. Okay. So what I can do is I can say I want to see myself from 2006 2020. But what Sharperlight can do further for you is that if I'm interested more in trends and see, okay, I want to see the patterns. How are my customers buying on this particular item? We had a peak on this particular month, on this particular year. Why has it gone down from the previous year? So it allows to make all this and they easily be able to make all these decisions from the palm of your hand. So what I'll do in this particular instance is that I will actually make my sales value as dynamic as possible. So I click on my sales, I click on my options, and what I'll tell the system is that I want to make, based on my date filter, I want to make it as a dynamic output there. So I'll just make it set as dynamic output. And what this allows me to do is that based on the range there now, as you can see now, let's click on that. It is actually, just make it as a number, format cells, and just make it as number just for this instance. As you can see, based on that, it is actually split my data across all the relevant years. So it can actually make it easier for me to see, okay, if this customer has gone down from 2012 to 2013, we can easily make a decision. Okay, what was the reason for that particular case? And as I'm adjusting my filters there, that particular table will rebuild as you're going ahead. So if I only want to see the latest data, maybe from 2018 to 2020, as I'm doing that, Sharperlight will actually go ahead and rebuild for me that particular cell, as you can see there. So you can sort of build all this interactive report based on that. On top of that, you can sort of have a drill down which allows you to sort of to see the underlying data and be able to sort of actually get more information from your system. So that's sort of the table bit in a nutshell. And then there's more into that. I know we are just I'm just cautious on time anyway, and I'm trying to cover as much as we can on a short time anyway. And then the last bit I'd like to cover is just the value bit. So for example, for all those in finance, or even if you have a custom set of reports where you sort of want it in a particular template, what Sharperlight can do, you can actually create what's it called, a value, which allows you to, if you have a certain, for example, in finance, you have a custom P&L, you need it to be in a certain template, or you have certain reports, your stock reports, you want them to be in a certain template. Sharperlight, you can actually build with the concept of values. You can actually build the reports the same way as you currently present it to your management and whatnot. You can have it in the same way within your Excel. And I'll just briefly touch on that. So I'll just click on my new sheet. So in this particular instance, what I can do is I'll actually just want to extract a few of my information. So how the value works is it can actually work on a number of ways. So what I'll do is I'll just extract my chart of accounts just to show you based on that. So again, I'll go to my UK company. Now in this particular instance, I'll touch on the financials, and I'll go to my GL transactions. And what I just want to do is I just want a brief of a few accounts just to show you how this would work. So account name, and I'll drag my amount field there. Click on OK, click on that. So this is just, and I'll remove this period. I'll show all the periods there. So this is just a quick way within Sharperlight. I'm able to extract all my financial information. And as you can see, in literally seconds, I'm able to create a simple and quick trial balance from SAP Business One. And the thing about Sharperlight is that it is real time because you're getting information from SAP. And as someone is posting, if you'd like to see that particular data refresh, you have a number of refresh options there. You have your refresh worksheet, or if you have a number of tables within there, you can refresh the whole workbook. There's a workbook refresh on top, which allows you to refresh all your Sharperlight reports. So it allows you to get real-time information as when you want it. So what I'll do is I'll just get a few accounts just for our own working there. So I'll copy this. So in this particular instance, this just a table value. So what I'll do is I want to use a value-based reporting. So what I'm doing is I just have my GL codes and my account names there. But what I can tell Sharperlight is that if I wanted to create a custom report based on a certain template, for example, okay, I want to have a break here and call this for example, my total sales. So for all those who have your total sales, so what I can do in this particular instance is I can use the value option, and as the name says it all, value will only return one cell, one value per cell. So if I click on value now, again, I'm treated to the same in interface as you've seen. So it's the same query builder, regardless of the type of report you actually build in Sharperlight. So it actually makes it easier because you're using the same interface. It's the same interface if you want to use the published web report. It's the same interface for all your Excel reports. So again, I'm treated to the same screen, and again, I can come in here, select my company. In this case, I'll stick with the UK company because that has most of my data. And what I can do now is I have an option to map my GL code now, similar to what I did with my date ranges. So what I'll do is I'll map my GL code to that particular cell over there. And if I need me, I can link it to a particular period. But in this instance, I'll just click on my all periods. I don't want to filter based on the period. And on the output, I can only return one value. So I'll just put in the amount there. So what Sharperlight has, it actually supports all the 3 different types of values for all those who are using, for example, if your local currency is different from a system currency, we have your system currency there, and you also have your FC there. So you can analyze based on all these different currencies. So I've dragged in my amount over there. I click on OK. It says, okay, give it a name. I'll leave it as that. And just at a quick nutshell, it is basically easily identified for that particular value I have, and that's my cell value. So I can format it, format cell. I can make it as number, use that. So I can really see that's my particular value. And rather than me creating the same formulas for all the cells there, for all the GL codes, I can just drag this down now because I'm using the value method. And what that does, it actually returns that particular value for that particular GL code. And then again, I can come in here and do the same thing if I wanted. If I wanted to sort of build a drill through, I can come in here and create a drill through, the same details we actually did back there, and I can create a new one, and I can just say view details, for example. Maybe view account details, yeah. And again, I'll be treated again to the same query, and I can say, okay, I want to make this summary or detail. I can go with detail now, and I can map my cell to that particular, to my parent query builder. I'll just map it to my GL. I'll quickly just fly through this. I'll drag my year period code, and what I can do now is, for example, I can drag my GL code. Again, I have my link to my chart of accounts, so I can easily come in here, put my account name, for example. If I wanted, maybe when was it posted? If I wanted some remarks, I can put my line item field, my line item remarks, I can drag them there. If I wanted to, if I'm using cost centers, if I want to bring the cost centers values, I can easily drag them in, and I can even bring my debits and my credit amounts there. So this will be my drill down once I actually go to that particular value. So I click on close. I'll click on OK. So what that does is now on any individual fields, I can click on my drill down there, and I can see my drill down view account details, which I just created a few moments ago. And we basically have a number of ways. I can do the pop-up window, where if I click on the first one, it comes as a pop-up, and that brings me my 12,300. Or if I wanted, I can come, for example, in this particular value, click on my drill down, and I say I want it, for example, if I want to analyze that information, I can click on the to sheet, and what that does, it actually brings all that particular data from the, which makes the 723, it puts it in a separate Excel sheet, as you can see there. So it shows me all the breakdown for that cell, and that's where my 723 is coming from. And for all those who are in finance, if you want to sort of if you want to reverse the value, of course you can do it within Excel, but you can actually do it within Sharperlight, where if it's a revenue, I don't want it to be in negative sign, so I can just right click and go to options and tick my reverse sign over there. So it makes it easier to do all this sort of reporting. And if I click on refresh now, that comes in there. And with the value, it basically has flexibility where I can come in here. For example, I can put in my normal Excel sums. I can do that over there. Of course, make it bold, and I can copy this formula and paste it here, paste it there. And as you can see, I use that same formula from Sharperlight, and then I'm using it across. Again, I can copy this, paste it there, and I can just do a sum for that particular range. So I can come in here, for example, I can make it this is my cost of sales, my total cost of sales. So I can create all my custom value bases, and I can even, if I'm using multi-company, what I can even do is I can easily come in here. For example, if this is my UK company, I can put my UK company over there, just make it a bit big, and I can put in, for example, I want my Australian company over there. I'll just remove the wrap text, and OEC computers, I'll make it Australia because that's my Australian company. So what I can do is now I can come in here now and make it, if I wanted, for example, to see the different value across the two companies, I can also use the company now as a filter and link it to that particular cell. So in my case, I linked it to G2. I clicked on OK. Now again, I can copy it across so that the formula copies across, and I can paste it down. And now, since I'm using the company as a filter, if I actually copy this whole range of cells, Control C, and I want to analyze the same data, but in my Australian company, I can easily paste that particular data over there. And if I click on that, I can easily see this is from my SAP Australian company, and this is from my UK company, and that's the value I have over there. And then again, because we're using the same cell reference, if I come in here and want to look at my drill down again, I can click on my view account details. It's the same drill down, but it will work across all the companies because we're using the same cell reference. So if I click on that, and that's where my value is actually coming from. So it allows you the flexibility to sort of go across all that, and I can build it on that. Plus, we can also do, for example, in a particular instance, if you're using a group of cell range, what Sharperlight allows you to do in this particular instance, I'm only using one cell range, But what I can do is, if I wanted a group of cells within one account, I can use the in operator, and I can say all my accounts from 400,000. And I can, if I want to do a range in Sharperlight, I'll do the 2 dots, and I can say to 421212. So if I click on that, and things like it's my cells, and I just copy the same formula, paste it on top, same formula, paste it on top. So I can see my cells, which is a range of all these cells. So it actually ties up that particular cell. So as you can see, you can choose to group a number of cells, or you can even use to do it if you want it one by one. And then again, if I come in here, I want to look at it with my drill down again, it will work the exact same way. But in this particular instance, you'll see all your relevant account details there. You'll see all the mix of all the accounts rather than just one account. What you can even do your analysis based on here. I can, for example, if I wanted to group based on my GL codes, I can drag my GL there, and it will actually group and based on the GL code. So if I click on that and just scroll down a bit, you can see it's kind of I can see that's my GL code 41,000. That's why it's going to show all my transactions based on my GL code, and I can sort of get my total based on the type of group I want. So I can group based on the date, based on the year, so you can make it as flexible as basically as how you want it. So that's sort of the value a little bit in Excel. And if I can say most of our Excel, I can say 90% of our clients are actually using the Excel. And I'll briefly touch on the web bit, and then I can touch on, and then I'll actually look at your questions if you have any particular questions anywhere. So again, with regards to Sharperlight also now, apart from the Excel which you've just seen over there, of course you can sort of build your reports in a number of ways. Apart from that, what you can also do, you can even check this report, and I can check the same report and use it in my web interface. So I can come in here. So what I'll do is I'll click on that. So I'll just remove this. Just remove the dynamic output, and I'll just use my normal default date. Click on OK. So I'll just use my normal 01/01/2006 to 31/01/2006. So in this particular instance, let's say I have my sales report there. If I wanted that same report, I want to take it on the web, I can easily just with one click, I can check that same report which I've actually built from here. So I'll click on my Excel workbook. If I click on that, it actually takes me to the query rebuilder. And what I can do as the end user is that I can actually right click and say I want to take it as a published report in the web. So I click on my publisher report, and what that does is I can see my list of existing ones, but I can also see my new report. So I click on my new report there, and what I'll do is I can just give it a name. I can just say sales orders, I can say by customer webinar, for example. I can call it that. I can click on apply, and plus once I've done that, I'll actually have a number of clicks to actually look at the report. I can view it as a report or as a chart. So if I choose to copy that particular link, I'll click on that. Let me just close the tabs. I'll paste that in. So what I can do is I can quickly look at the URL for Sharperlight. I'll just enable the service on my end. So basically, with regards to the web and the published view, it actually makes it easier. You can sort of create your reports with the Excel, and for those users who basically just want to sort of go ahead and look at the data and just slice and dice, just want them to sort of have all the necessary information, you can give them the web access. So I'll log in with my admin account. So if I click on my admin account, again, I'll see all my necessary filters as I've seen in my report, but I can even come in here and make it a bit neater. So let's say I don't want to I want to hide certain filters. Let me close this. So if I click on submit on this particular on my web, I can get the same details as I just had within my Excel sheet. Of course, I can choose to, if I wanted to hide my if I have 0 values, I can easily choose to hide that. But what I'll do in this instance is I click on OK. So on my sales report, I can choose to sort of hide all the necessary fields I don't want. For example, I don't want to for the user to sort of change their type. I don't want them to, so I can right click on this and hide a few things. So I can just right click, hide, click on OK. And as I save this report and refresh on my particular report and hit on submit, I can see the data. So you can see that. So I can sort of build the data in a number of ways. And of course, my date filters will look the same way now. Within the web, I'll actually have an in-interface over there where I can come in now and, for example, I can select my future dates, 2019 December to the 31st, hit on submit, and I click on that, and I can see my data based on that. And then, of course, as the end user, I have a number of ways I can sort of choose to save it as an Excel, as PDF, as CSV, or even as JSON array if you want such as a URL, and you can use it like in your Power BIs and whatnot. But what I can do is I can even, for example, if I wanted to view it in a chart, I can click on chart and column, and I can see it sort of in a, if I wanted to see it in a dashboard sort of way. So we can even build your KPIs and dashboard based on all these individual queries. What you can even do, if you had a number of columns, for example, you might give the users, let's say, a generic query which has, for example, if it's in your sales, you have your item, salesperson, and you just want them to analyze their particular data. There's an option there with the preview, but within the publisher where they can actually play with the data themselves. So if they wanted to analyze based on a particular custom group, I can drag it as my rows, drag my sales value, hit on populate, and that I can sort of build my reports however I want to be. If I wanted to put in my column my customer name, hit on that, and I can easily see I can sort of analyze my data in a number of ways, however I want to be. So I can sort of make it as flexible as possible, depending on basically on how you want it. And what Sharperlight have done, they've actually created a cool demo system which shows you the capability of the web. So I'll just take you there. Sharperlight demo. Sharperlight demo server. So and this just to show you sort of with regards to the capabilities of Sharperlight, especially with regards to the web in interface, where I can, for example, you can sort of create your different dashboards and views. So you can see that you can sort of have like you have your KPIs on your home screen. You can sort of build trends and see, okay, if sales has gone down, you can compare this month to last month, quarters, or in this particular instance, you're comparing stock line sales, basically today's stock line against yesterday's sale. You can see, you can sort of have all these trends, sort of see maybe who's my top 5 customers, and all this individual, whatever individual table actually based on what I've just shown you. You can have all this in sort of one go. If I go to my purchasing again, again it's gonna be the same thing. So you can sort of build all this visual based on that, and then again the same license you actually use to actually build your Excel report is the same license you can actually use within the web there. So that's basically the publisher bit in a nutshell. And there's plenty of more to it, and I know we are quite restricted on time, so I'm just trying to restrict myself over there because I think we've already gone above the time. And one last bit before I actually get to your questions, I'll briefly touch on the scheduler bit. So click on cancel, close that. We also have an option, and the scheduler bit, you can either buy it as a separate module if you have less than 5 Sharperlight licenses, but if you have 5 or more, you actually get this for free. And what this actually does is actually meant to auto send the reports to the necessary individual. Of course, if the individual has no, for example, has no Sharperlight license, you can just send them a normal report with, it won't have filters and they can't interact with it. But what you can actually do with the scheduler is that if I've built a report, it can be a web report, it can be an Excel report, I can come in and tell the Sharperlight system, okay, I want you to basically go ahead and send this particular report based on my listing, and I can come to my email and I can send it to basically to a number of distribution lists. I can say, okay, of course, we need to put in all our SMTP set settings there, but And what you can do is you can actually build all the necessary triggers if you want. You can view it. You can see you can send it on a daily basis. If it's a daily, at a particular time, you can do it weekly. If weekly, you actually choose when at which particular. If you always send report at the end of the week, you can say okay at Friday the end, or if it's monthly at a given time, you can even say okay always at the last Sunday of the month, or on the 31st, for example. You can sort of choose, and it makes it quite as flexible as possible. And this will actually work with your task scheduler. So in the end, all the relevant users, based on, of course, what has been defined here. In this case, you can create a distribution list where you can send it to 100 of users within your organization. So it reduces the need from someone, for example, who doesn't have access to Sharperlight or even to SAP. If they continue to ask you, okay, I need this report, you can actually auto-schedule that report, and it can actually go straight to email straight into that. I believe that's all what I've intended to cover today. I know there's plenty to cover, but we don't have much time. If you have any particular questions, and in case we don't ask it today, feel free to send your questions to my email shown there, sehem@milnerbrowne.com. But what I'll do now is I'll just look at your questions, and I'll try to respond into that. Just give me a sec, please.
Thanks, Sehem. I'm actually looking at the questions, and I can't see any come in. But we'll give it a couple of minutes and just see if anyone wants to ask any questions while we're waiting. Just so everyone knows, this webinar will be recorded and it'll be uploaded on our YouTube channel, and we will also send it out to all of you who've attended. Our next webinar is scheduled to be hosted on the 8th of April, and the topic of that will be looking at SAP version 10 with Richie Gaughan. And yeah, so if there's any questions, just send them in, or send them to info@milnerbrowne.com or at sehem@milnerbrowne.com. The email is shown on screen. And yeah, thank you for all that attended the webinar.